Hey everybody, and welcome to Chairman of the Board Overtime. In this new feature, I'll be taking a closer look at board game expansions to determine if they are going to be worth your money or not. So in this first episode, I'm going to be looking at Flamme Rouge Peloton, which is the first expansion to Flamme Rouge, which happens to be a game that I really enjoy. I've recently reviewed it, so check that out if you're not too familiar with this game. But I get this game to the table a lot, so naturally I was really looking forward to this expansion. So let's go take a closer look at Flamme Rouge Peloton. So let's take a look at what's in the box. So here I have laid out everything you're going to get. So first off, you're going to get 2 new player boards and matching cards and riders. Now this will let you play the game with up to 6 players now, which to me is a huge addition because I used to find it quite restricted that you could only play with 4 players, but now I can play with 6. It is absolutely fantastic. So as you can see, you've got a pink team and a white team. And what I like as well, which is a very nice little addition, is that the riders have been marked a bit clearer this time with the roller and sprinter markings, because on the original set it could be quite difficult at times to differentiate. So to me that's absolutely a deal breaker and is fantastic. You're going to get 6 new track cards, and these are fantastically designed. They're double-sided, so one side is going to be a design for 2 to 4 players, and the other side is going to be for 5 to 6 players. So you've got 6 of those which are double-sided. You're going to get a new stack of sprinter exhaustion cards and roller exhaustion cards, so that's more of the same there. You've got these 2 sets of dummy teams. Now these are really good for solo play or playing when you've got maybe in a 2-player game. So these actually make you able to play with dummy teams, which will make the game a bit more exciting as to other kind of variants on that mode. So here you have the Peloton Team. These are really interesting because they share one deck, and basically when you draw one of these Peloton cards, then the person with the in front of their team is going to move 2, but the person behind is going to move 9. And something that's important to say is that these teams don't ever take exhaustion cards, so they just kind of go about their own business, and you can kind of guess what they're going to play and slipstream off them, etc. This is the muscle team. I think they just throw extra 5 cards into the deck, and you can play with a multiple amount of those. I think you can only ever have 1 Peloton team. So those are really cool addition if you want to play solo or perhaps in a 2-player game. You're going to get a couple more reference cards, more of the same there, and you're going to get 9 new pieces of track. I'm going to go into more detail on those pieces of track right now, and it's also worth mentioning you obviously get the rulebook as well. So here I've laid out some of the new pieces of track you're going to get with this expansion. First of all, you'll notice that some of these tracks now go up to 3 spaces wide, which is really cool because now you've got the chance of more people taking exhaustion if they're in front of a pack, and maybe in these areas you're going to get away with being blocked a lot less. So they're really interesting. In an opposite way, you've got these new really cool cobblestones, and I think this might be my favorite addition to the expansion other than the additional players. Now these are really cool because on these cobblestones there is no slipstreaming, but as you can see, some of the spaces are only 1 rider wide. So here you're going to have huge congestion and going to find it very hard to get past players, because the chances are you're going to get blocked and maybe even pushed back, a couple of spaces. So those are really crucial and do mix up the game a hell of a lot. So you've got a couple of those, and of course, like the base game, these are all double-sided, so that's really cool. Loads of replayability and possibilities for making all kind of weird and wonderful tracks. So I really love those new cobblestones. Another feature you've got is these supply zones. Now these are 3 riders wide, as you can see, but they work a bit like hills because they're a good way of getting rid of your exhaustion cards, because you're always going to move at least 4 spaces with these ones. So not quite the 5 like the hills, but nearly as good. And of course you're going to get blocked a lot less because you're 3 spaces wide. And yeah, So those are really, really cool, really simple, but they do add so much more depth to the game, which is quite surprising with such a simple concept. And finally, you've got these this variant start tile and a different kind of way that you can play with more players. That they suggest that the starting player gets this. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called a. Let me check. It's called a breakaway. So basically, in games with more players, they suggest that you play with this breakaway variant, where basically players are going to bid with their cards, and the highest bidder is going to start on this space here. And again, I think it's double-sided, so you can even have two riders that are going to break away. So they're going to start way ahead of the pack, but they're going to have to sacrifice a few cards and take a couple of exhaustions in order to do that. So it's a good way of stopping the initial congestion. But again, it's just a really, really cool idea. Again, I love that they can go 3 spaces wide now and down to the 2 spaces and even 1 space with the cobblestones. So I absolutely love this these ideas for this additional track. To me, Peloton is a great expansion. Not only for the additional players, which to be honest would be enough for me to buy this, but the way that those new pieces of track add so much more depth to the game without adding any unnecessary complicatedness, it's absolutely brilliant. It's that seamless integration that you need from an expansion, and this game just completely delivers that. I couldn't praise this one enough. If you're a fan of Flamme Rouge, you have to buy this. It is brilliant. I cannot wait to see what else they come up with, if they do anything, but I'm completely satisfied with what they've put out, and it's going to keep me going a long time. I really love this one, couldn't recommend it enough. That's Flamme Rouge Peloton. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Overtime. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.